was like, you're similar if you both are against slavery. And he's like, I hear the war's like dragging on. Like, how many elephants does the king have? And she's like, we don't have
there are no elephants in America. And he's
like, well, that's why you're not winning.
5, 6, 7, 8.
There's no business like show business.
Mamma mia, here I go again. My
Of the music
Go!
Pew, 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 pew.
Pew, 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 pew. John Cena burst through the wall.
burst through the wall to talk about The King and I.
And today's special guest on the podcast,
John Cena.
Can you fucking imagine?
I would love nothing more than to talk to him
to talk about musicals with John
because
Cena?
I feel like he would have opinions for some reason.
I'm going to do my very best to not only blow my nose away from the microphone, but do it when we're not talking.
Fair. Makes it easier. We switched who was sick this time.
Yes.
I was sick with COVID last time. And now
I don't have COVID,
Anna
I just have
has
an
a cold.
annoying cold.
Oh boy.
But we're here regardless,
we
ready
are.
to talk to you, dear listeners, about this week's classic musical movie,
Yes.
the 1956 The King and I.
So I probably hadn't watched this movie since I was a tween. I was really into watching these older musicals like Annie Get Your Gun, South Pacific, King and I, My Fair Lady. I was very into watching those like on a loop, and then sort of moved on from that when I like moved into high school. So I don't think that I had actually watched this movie since I was like 12.
I agree. I don't think I have seen this movie more than a handful of times in my life, and definitely not recently. What's interesting, though, and I realize this, is so we both grew up listening to musicals, most of which were Broadway recordings. But for this particular show, I grew up listening to the movie soundtrack, not the Broadway production. Right. And so Marnie Nixon is the voice of Anna to me. This is a Marnie Nixon fan account.
Surprise, surprise. We are renaming our podcast.
This is just
5, 6, 7, 8. Marnie Nixon, where are you?
Where in this musical is Marnie Nixon? The answer is all everywhere.
Oh, all right. Shall we fall into this one?
Let's dive into this one. My first note is 2 hours and 13 minutes. I doubt that. So I watched this on Amazon Prime, where you can rent it for $3.99. And yes, I did the thing I always did, where I started it and then did not finish it in time, so I had to re-rent it again. I
watched this on the internet.
And I shall provide no further details.
Yeah, no further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
We have such a good overture and opening
That
credit.
was my first note, was like, man, I miss full band overtures.
Score.
Like, and I know that,
and before we even started recording, I said to Grace, I was like, listen, plot aside, Rodgers and Hammerstein knew what they were doing with this
And I'm pretty
score.
sure, is this our first Rodgers and Hammerstein that we've done? I think it is.
No, we did Cinderella.
Oh, we did Cinderella. Dummy Grace.
How dare you?
I?
How dare you forget everyone that's in that movie?
I know. All right. But then, of course, the second thing that I wrote down is Miss Rita Moreno. What are you doing here? Surprise, surprise, y'all. I did not remember or did not ever make the connection that Rita Moreno plays Tuptim, which is wild and problematic.
Yeah.
I mean, there is
not
a
she doesn't even sing for herself.
No.
She's dubbed.
There is not a single...
How dare you dub Rita Moreno?
How dare you? There is not a single casting choice that is not controversial in this entire movie.
Yep, and we're going to get into that. All right, we start and we stay. I was going to say we start off and we stay
whole time
in Siam, 1862. Siam was the name of what is now modern-day Thailand.
Correct. Yes. So we start on a big old boat.
Old-timey boat.
Old-timey boat. There's a young boy there named Louis. He's very excited to have arrived.
They have arrived in Bangkok.
And we meet him and his mother. So this is Louis and Anna. And she is in a full outfit. Hoop skirts on a boat. Oh. Dear Lord, my lady. How did you move?
Well, think about how, like, when travel was inaccessible to 98% of the population because of financial reasons, You got dressed up for travel. And then combine that with the fashions of the time. This woman's hoop skirt is like 5 people wide. But it's what
ready
everyone
for
was
COVID.
wearing.
6 feet of distance at all times.
Yeah. We should have I made a joke about that early on where I was like, we should have brought back hoop skirts for COVID because it's a guaranteed 6-foot barrier.
Yeah, exactly. So the little boy Louis, he's excited. He wonders if the king of Siam will come to meet them at the dock. And his mom's like, probably not, son. Kings don't do that. Just then, a commotion. The royal barge is here. Plot twist. But it is not the king. It is the Kralahome, which is described to be like the prime minister. So I think like the highest advisor.
He's the king's right-hand man. And he is mean looking.
Oh, yeah. Very scary looking. And
very stern.
Oh, yes. And the captain warns Anna to keep that guy on her good side because if he's not, then he could really cause some trouble for her if she's trying to settle down here. And she's like, it'll be okay.
But we get the first taste of like what a strong, independent woman Anna is. She's like, I'm here to work for the king, not for that guy, and raise my son. I don't give
and
a shit.
I've been promised a house, so I probably won't see him all that often. Yes. I'm not going to be living in the palace, so honestly, I don't really care.
Louis has a bit of common sense, and he's like, that dude looks mean. Yeah. And Louis like 7. Yeah. And he says to his mom, he's like, I'm afraid of that guy, but you don't seem afraid at all. Like, what do you do to not
scared.
Be afraid? And she says, when I'm afraid, I just whistle. And he's like,
what?
That's why you're whistling all the time?
All the time?
Like,
yeah. So she starts to sing, whistle a happy tune.
Too long didn't read of this song is fake it till you make it.
Basically, make believe that you're brave, and then you'll end up tricking yourself into not being afraid.
And tricking other people.
And tricking other
well.
people too. As they're finishing up the song, behind them, the guards of the Kralahome line up, and they turn around and see all of these very stern, strong-looking guards, and they immediately start whistling, which I found very funny.
Yes. The Kralahome gets on board, and he's brought a translator with him who speaks to Anna, and he asks if you are to be the school teacher, and she says yes, and he says, are you married? And she says, I was. Then he asks, what kind of man was your husband? And at that point, she's like,
whoa.
I don't need to tell you that detail. And why is that
important?
Why is that relevant? It's none of your business. And the translator then translates that back to the Kralahome. The Kralahome is offended and kicks his translator aside, and then surprise, he speaks English the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. So he reveals that he actually spoke English, and Anna's kind of a bit pissed about it. And he was like, okay, you come with me, and we will bring your things up later to the palace. And she's like, whoa. I have been promised a house, a brick house, outside of the palace walls. I will not be living in the palace. And the Kralahome is like, oh, well, the king doesn't always remember what he's promised. And she's like, well,
and
then
it's an
I'll
honor to live inside the palace.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, well, then if you're too afraid to remind him of his promises, don't worry, I will. And he's like, this is going to be a fun meeting.
Cut to the busy market in Bangkok. There's elephants, and Anna and her son are walking behind the Kralahome, who's being carried on a palanquin.
Yes,
that's
palanquin.
The word, right?
Yeah, that's what I wrote down.
Palanquin. And they arrive at the palace, and they are led through the big gate and into a grand golden throne room where they see the king surrounded by attendants. And the king is immediately in a bad mood.
Oh, yeah. Everyone is just on the ground in a bowing position to him.
And the Kralahome kind of leans over to Anna. He goes, might want to wait for a different day.
Yeah, this might not go well for you. And she's like, no, I will not wait. This cannot wait.
Yeah, I will get back on a boat to England.
Yes.
If this is not sorted right now.
Exactly. She's not fucking around. In comes a woman on a palanquin. She comes in and bows before the king. Turns out she is a gift from the king of Burma. She is Tuptim, and she was brought by the emissary from the king of Burma, whose name is Lunta.
And this is where I discovered Rita Moreno plays Tuptim.
Yeah.
Kralahome explains to Anna what we just said, and she's very alarmed by the fact that, like, a person could be a gift.
Yeah. There is a moment where Lunta and Tuptim make eye contact and sort of like look longingly at each other before he leaves.
Subtext. A gong is banged and the king dismisses everyone, and Anna says, heck this, and storms right after the king. And she says, she just starts to kind of rant at him. She's like, I'm not going to work for you unless you give me what you've promised me. And he cuts her off saying like, oh, you're the teacher. Great. so glad you're here. You are part of my big general plan to bring what is quote unquote good from Western culture to Siam. He's like, I already got a printing press. Now I've got you.
Yeah, he's like, I brought a printing press, for printing. And I was like, yes, good job.
Yes. And she continues to kind of push back. She's like, I'm not going to stick around unless you give me the things that you promised. And he comments, he's like, you're not afraid of me.
Yeah, because she lies to him.
Yes.
Because he's like, how old are you? And she's like, 150 years old. And he's like, okay then. Like, then what's the year were you born? And she like gets the answer correct. Does the math. And he's like, fine then. How many years were you married? How many grandkids do you have? And she doesn't answer. And he's like, haha, I caught you in the lie.
Because at that point, he's not answering her questions, and he's instead asking her questions. Yeah. And she's like, fuck it, I'm 150 years old. Yeah. Like, what do you want? But he says not being afraid is a good feature of a scientific mind. Yes. So she's passed this like little test. And then he pulls her after him, and he brings her into a room full of women relaxing. As soon as he enters, a gong is banged, and all the women bow on the floor. And he kind of gestures his arm around the room. He goes, these are all of my wives. And he introduces her to his head wife, whose name is Lady Tiang. And they chat a little bit, and she says, oh, you have a son, to Anna. I also have a son. My son is the Crown Prince.
Crown Prince Chulalonghorn.
The king introduces Anna to all of the wives, and he then says, not only are you here to teach all the children, you're also going to teach all the wives better English, and in exchange, Lady Tiang will help you with the teaching. Yeah. And Anna's like, this is not in my contract. Also, where is my house?
Yeah. But he ignores her and keeps introducing her to different wives, and then ends with Tuptim, and Tuptim reveals that she can already speak English. And the king then talks about how, like, part of the reason why he brought her here is that he wants Siam to be a very modern place, a very scientific place. And she does say, you know what? Okay, I will help you with whatever you like, as long as you provide the separate house that you promised. And he gets very angry. And he
says it's an honor to be asked to live in the royal palace. Yeah. You work in the palace, you live in the palace. And this is when she unintentionally teaches him the phrase, etc.
Because
I don't even remember what she
Well, yeah, because he says it's a privilege, and Lady Chang is like, oh, you will have like such a lovely apartment with a beautiful view. And she's like, right, a view of iron bars and guards, etc. And he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Brand new word.
What is this word that you
said? And she explains what it means, and this begins him using it for every single thing he can think of. It's great.
Prior to this, he had asked one of the wives to like bring in the children as well, because like you're going to want to meet the children. And Anna says, like, you know what? You are throwing way too much onto my plate that I did not sign up for. You are not following through on the one thing I've asked you for. Fuck this. I'm going back to the boat. And he goes, no, you're not. You're staying to see my kids. And at that point, a gong, as I clap, the sounds like gongs make. Yeah. The kids, what is called the March of the Royal Children,
I think so.
I believe, is the name of the musical interlude. But it is essentially each child being brought in.
And presented
and they're
to
all
her.
itty bitties. They're
so
cute.
Little and they're cute. All so small.
Yeah, being presented to her. And you can see in her face.
Oh, she's just totally, utterly charmed by them.
Oh my God, she just falls head over heels for all of them.
I know. And then finally, halfway through this presentation, the Crown Prince comes out to great fanfare. He's older than all of them. He is the eldest.
He's probably like, what, 14?
Yeah, probably.
Whereas all the other kids are around like the 5-6 age.
Yeah, I would say anywhere from 5 to 8. Yeah. And there's so many children. There's so many kids in this. And I always forget how many children there are in this musical, but there's so many kids.
I thought about that watching this, and also having seen the most recent Lincoln Center revival. Yeah. Because it's not like they can just fudge it for... This is a whole part of this musical, is this number, the March of the Children, where, like, you meet all...
They're all on stage together.
Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a hard number to do, to stage and to sit through. Anyway, Too Long Didn't Read. All the kids come in. Yes. There's, like, 30 kids at least. Yeah. And Anna is so utterly charmed by all of them and how cute they are. And how excited they are to meet her and to have this education that she says, all right, fuck it, I'll stay.
She, like, takes off her hat, scarf, veil thing that she has on. And so the king announces that Anna has decided to stay and teach them in the palace. And she says, for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
And then he reveals that these are just the kids of the wives who are on his good side, which, surprise, he has more, which we never see.
No.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Cut to later, Anna has settled into her apartments at the palace, and all the royal wives are in her room, and they're just like fucking with her shit.
Yeah.
They've opened up all of her trunks and are playing with her silly, to them,
Skirts
silly
and-
English garments,
yeah.
the petticoats and the scarves.
And the woman
the
who's wearing
accoutrement.
her corset as like an over-the-shoulders thing, which is very funny.
And Anna's very polite. She's just got there. She's not trying to ruffle any feathers, but she's like, "Oh, ladies, please do stop." And they just laugh at her.
And they all start like sort of pulling at her skirt, and they're like, "We've never seen your legs. Are you shaped differently?" And so she like lifts her skirts a little bit and shows it's like, no, we're the same. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, my skirt's just
My
wide.
skirt is just wide. And they all keep calling her sir. And she asks, why? Why do you keep calling me sir? And they're like, well, because you're scientific, not like women. And she's like, whoa. Women are no lesser than men. And they're like, haha, don't tell the king that. Like,
Yeah, it will just make him angry.
She's like, well, maybe the king should be told a thing or two.
At that point, Tuptim arrives and asks Anna if she has any English books that she can read, because Tuptim already speaks English, reads English. Anna says, yes, I do, but I haven't unpacked them yet.
Yes.
I will give them to you later. And then Tuptim, having really nothing else to do in the room, walks away, and the other wives make fun of her, kind of for the similar reason that the king was giving Anna a hard time earlier, where they're saying, oh, she's living in a palace, but she's choosing to be unhappy.
Why is she upset? And Anna's like, well, you know,
Yeah.
maybe she's homesick. She didn't actually choose to come here. And so Anna walks over to Tuptim, and
And they have a private moment.
a private conversation where Tuptim reveals that she isn't homesick, she's lovesick. The emissary who brought her here, Lonta, they love each other, and they tried very hard to deny their feelings for each other, but there was nothing they could do. And Anna acknowledges, she's like, you know, it is hard to stop loving a man even when you know you'll never see him again, referring to her husband who has passed.
And at this point, in the other side of the room, the wives have found a photo of Anna's late husband. And they're like, oh, who's this handsome guy?
Ooh.
And Anna's like, oh, that's
my husband.
That's Tom. And she starts to sing the song Tom, which is essentially her saying, like, when I think of Tom, I think of the first night that we met. And this song turns into the very well-known song, Hello, Young Lovers. And the song shifts from being about Anna reminiscing about her past love to now being in this new stage of life where she is a widow and she isn't actively looking for love. She still looks upon other young lovers and has hope for them having been in their shoes.
Exactly.
I love this song.
It's so
I
good.
love Hello, Young Lovers. And Marnie Nixon has such a good voice.
I know. It's so funny because, like, my issues with her voice in, I think it was West Side Story, do not apply in this one. I thought her voice was remarkable in this. Now, they did do some editing to her voice because she has a much higher toned voice, and we'll talk about that later. She also had a cold when she was recording this, and so she was like, it helped match the lower tones of Anna. I was actually very bad. It ended up working out.
I think I read that Deborah Kerr and Yul Brenner were in the recording studio, and so like a lot of the talky, singy stuff is Deborah Kerr.
Yes.
Even though like something that's very, very talky is the Shall I Tell You What I Think of You song, which was cut.
Yes.
Justice for that song.
Justice for
It's
that
such a good song.
Cut to a few weeks later, the kids come marching into the courtyard, which is their classroom, singing a song, and the king hears them, and he stops the crown prince and asks, okay, so you've been taught a proverb every day. What proverb were you taught yesterday? And the one that he was taught was, no matter east or west, home is best. Turns out every day Anna has been teaching the kids a new proverb about how important it is to have a home. This petty bitch.
Yeah, it's all
I love it
house-related.
so much.
And the king's finally like,
this
this motherfucker. All I have heard about from however
a
long
month.
it's been. If it's been weeks, it's been months. The king's like, every single day, all I hear about is this house.
And the crown prince also says that she's been teaching them a little bit about the world and how it works. And he says, she said that the world is like a ball with a stick in it that's spinning in space, but we all know that the world is on the back of a turtle. And he asks the king, well, which one is true? And the king
which one's right?
Admits, I believe that it is a ball with a stick through it. He's like, oh, you believe? You don't know? Don't kings know everything? And the king sort of deflects.
Kings are supposed to know everything.
He's like, when you are king, you will also know everything.
The crown prince leaves, and the king has a moment alone where he muses to himself that he's like, I pretend like I know everything, but I don't know everything.
And the world is just changing so fast that how can I keep up?
I love the wordplay in this song that is coming up.
He has a whole thing about it's dangerous to form allyships because then you let your guard down, but if no one ever lets their guard down, then the world will end up in chaos and ruin. You have to make a choice to trust, which is a very dangerous thing, especially for a country. It's hard. And as a ruler, I can totally see where he's coming from in terms of making that choice. And also in reference to him trusting Anna with his children, which is a hard choice as well.
Yeah, trusting anyone with formative education of your children. There's some really iconic choreography at the end of this, which is when the king falls to his knees.
Yeah.
And so Yul Brenner did this show forever. And my mom actually saw Yul Brenner in The King and I towards the very, very end. Yeah. And she always talks about how he had to do the choreography because it was so iconic. He's getting on in years, and it was really hard on his knees for him to get up.
Oh, no. Oh, poor man. Oh, and there's also direct-to-camera singing in this, which was alarming.
I couldn't tell if it was or not. Is it direct-to-camera?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
It's not the whole song. But there are definite moments where I was just like, I'm
like, oh, cool, no fourth wall anymore.
Hello.
Great. Cut to whatever next day it is. Anna is in the middle of teaching a lesson to the children, and the wives are there as well, half as babysitters, half as students. Yep. She has Lady Tiang start the lesson, and Lady Tiang shows a map of Siam, where Siam is like the central country, takes up all of the map. It's big, it's got the king on it with a spear, and then the country next to it is much smaller, and she says this is Burma, and there's a little illustration of the king of Burma running away, and I think being naked or not having shoes on, and Lady Tiang kind of implies like the country of Burma is so poor and so backwards that even their king doesn't have any shoes, and everyone kind of Tup Tim is there and doesn't say anything, but definitely looks offended on behalf of her country.
Absolutely.
Anna jumps in at that point. She's like, thank you, Lady Tiang. Let's
move
change the energy in this room. Yeah. And she's like, I actually have a surprise for you today, children and wives. I have a world map for you. You've been looking at this map of Siam for 25 years. I have a new map for you that's going to show you the whole world. And she pulls it down in front of it. And it's the map that we know today. All the kids say, well, where is Siam? And she points it to them. And it's a very small part of the map. And they say, there's no fucking way Siam is that small. Siam is the biggest country in the world.
Right. And Anna sort of like tries to calm them down. She's like, well, you see, you're here and see how small England is? England is even smaller than Siam.
Yeah, England's even smaller.
And that calms them down a little bit. But, they're still just a little bit confused and offended just because of what they've been taught their entire lives. So she starts to talk about how she didn't know much about Siam before she came here, but after spending so much time here and meeting everyone and all of them, she's growing to love it.
What she essentially does is she, what's the word I want? Not approves, but like, she validates their initial reaction where she's like, listen, it's scary to not know about other places. Yep. I didn't know anything about Siam before I came here, but now that I've been here for so many months, I really, really like it here. So it's more about just like being open to new experiences and the concept of a world beyond your four walls.
Exactly.
And this little speech leads us into the song Getting to Know You.
Yeah. And then this is where I was like, where's Louis?
Louis there for most of the scenes.
Literally never here except for the beginning and the end.
Louis in a lot of the school
Is he in the background? I could not find him.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
He's for most of it.
Okay.
The easiest job for that actor.
Yeah.
Literally, you have a scene in the beginning,
A scene at the
you
end.
hang out in the background, and a scene at the end.
Amazing.
And you collect a paycheck.
Hell yeah. So we get the song Getting to Know You, which is delightful.
Oh!
Okay.
And Anna says, like, all right, now it's my favorite time of the lesson,
Yeah.
and it's essentially that, like, getting to know you one-on-one, getting to know you as people,
Yeah.
getting to know you as peers.
And they have a bit of a dance together, and then I think it's one of the wives comes out to do a dance as well, and because Anna's in the big hoop skirt, she has a bunch of kids come around and, like, circle her to, like, imitate her being in a hoop skirt as well. It was so cute.
At this point, at the end of the song, I made a note for myself because I had forgotten about the Crown Prince's emotional arc in this film,
Yes.
in this play, and in this film. And this is the first scene where you really do see him being caught between loyalty to his father and also loyalty to his king and his desire for his country to survive in this new, scary contemporary world.
Absolutely.
And I mention this because at the end of the song, the kids kind of revolt.
Well, so they revolt because they get back to the geography lesson, and she tells them about...
Yes.
Sorry, I just realized I accidentally wrote Normway as opposed to Norway. So she tells them about Norway.
Oh, yeah, because one of them's like, what's that green piece on the map? And she goes,
And
oh,
she's
that's
like,
Norway.
oh, this is Norway where it gets very, very cold. It turns water solid. And they're like, what?
Bullshit.
Bullshit. And she's like, it can even freeze the rain. And so it comes down as snow. And it looks like little bits of lace. And the Crown Prince is just like, no. That's not real. You're lying.
I'm calling your bluff.
I do not believe that snow is real. I do not believe that Siam is that small. It's the biggest country in the world, and you're lying. And all the kids get up and cheer, and it's kind of a big revolt.
Yeah, because, like, the Crown Prince is the oldest child. All these little itty bitties are like, I'm going to do whatever the Crown Prince says.
Absolutely.
Because he's my big brother.
Yeah.
And also
he's the future king. Yeah.
Yeah. And at this point, the active king comes in because he hears the ruckus of all the kids clamoring, being like, there's no such thing as snow.
Yep.
And he comes in and he goes, what the fuck are you doing? Why did I pay for a teacher if you're not going to listen to them?
Yeah.
And he says, there actually has a good bit of advice to the kids once they explain, like, why they're screaming.
Yeah.
And he goes, if you only believe what you can see with your own eyes, what is the point of continuing your education? What is the point of going to school?
The point of school is to teach you about things that you can't see.
Yeah, and that you don't know.
Right.
And he warns the kids that I better not hear any more news of you not believing what this scientific English teacher that I pay a lot of money for is teaching you.
And he also does say, I have seen a picture of Switzerland. I saw it covered in snow.
Yes.
I know that it's real. It is real. And so he sort of like tamps down their...
He validates
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And sort of takes Anna's side.
Yeah, and also because if the king says it exists,
Then
then
it does.
exists.
Just then he sees Tim is there. She has a book in her arms, and he's like, what, this isn't one of my books. What is this? And Anna's like...
It's not one of the textbooks.
Right.
It's not an approved book.
No. And Anna was like, oh, that's just one of my personal books. She asked for something to read, and I gave it to her, and it's Uncle Tom's Cabin. And the king is shocked that a woman has written a book.
Uncle Tom's Cabin, written by Harriet Beecher Stowe, and the king's like, a woman wrote a book, and people read it?
Wild.
She's like, yes, women write many things.
And Anna says it's about the evils of slavery. And even now, President Lincoln in the United States is fighting to free the slaves in America. And the king is like, yes, I agree. Slaves are very bad. But then, like, snaps it up to, like, he currently has slaves.
Yeah.
So there's
He
a
has
bit of a
slaves.
discord between, I think, what his ideal of morality is versus the reality of how he lives his life. And he doesn't quite acknowledge or see that disparity yet.
Yes. And also what his concept of slaves and
Yes.
slavery means versus what being a royal wife entails and
Right.
being an attendant in the palace
Yeah.
is technically slavery, but he doesn't see it that way.
Right, exactly. The king then asks how Lincoln will ever win the war when he doesn't have elephants. Which
Yes. Well, because Anna compares
Yeah.
the king to Lincoln. He was like, you're similar if you both are against slavery. And he's like, I hear the war's like dragging on. Like, how many elephants does the king have? And she's like, we don't have
there are no elephants in America. And
he's like, well, that's why you're not winning.
And so Anna has the kids get back to the lesson. But before they can, the crown prince asks, well, I have slaves. Like, how do slaves get free if the people who own them don't want to give them up? And so Anna sort of starts gently talking around this subject. And she's like, well, by the passing of laws and by enforcement of those laws, if necessary. Sometimes it's not about what we want for ourselves, but about what is right. And the king hears this and does not like sort of the implied accusation of it.
And the crown prince is just kind of puzzled.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see some new thought connections forming for him, for this kid. The king leaves. The crown prince goes back to school, and the Kralahome comes in and scolds Anna.
Yes.
And he says, listen, you're making it very hard for the king to be king right now, because the king has set himself up for this impossible task. He wants to be a scientific modern man and bring Siam into the modern age, but he also wants to stay true to his culture and his dynasty. And you are an inferior woman who is not fit to be advising the king on stuff like this. And Anna's like, all right, fuck off.
Yeah, and he's like, he's ripping himself into, and by extension, he is ripping this country in two. He cannot be the leader that we need him to be if he is distracted by all of your scientificness, and this is all your fault.
Yeah.
And Anna says that she admires the king for his desire to learn, and the Kralahome says, you will end up his slave like everyone else does. And that sort of takes Anna aback.
Yeah. Later that night, Anna is awoken by two guards coming to tell her that the king has asked for her. And she's like, at this hour? Okay.
Fine. I'm gonna get dressed, though.
It's like 2 a.m. And she comes into...
The throne room?
Is this like the education room? The throne room? I couldn't tell.
A room. Very large.
And the king is reclining on the floor reading the Bible. And she's like, oh, that's great that you're reading the Bible. And he goes, this Moses guy is a fucking idiot.
He's a damn fool.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. He says, Moses is saying that God created the world in 7 days, but we know that it took a long time to create the world.
How can I ever learn if different books say different things?
Yeah, how am I supposed to learn if all these English books that you're providing me are saying different things? And she points out, well, the Bible was written by men of faith and not science.
And she's like, it's their explanation for the miracle of creation, and whether it took 6 days or 6 million years, it makes no difference.
Because they arrived at the
same conclusion. He's like, yeah, Moses is still an idiot, though. And he's like, now the reason why I brought you here is because I would like to write a letter to President Lincoln. Please take my dictation.
She's like, okay. And she starts, but he has stayed reclining on the floor, and he goes, what are you doing? Because she's standing, because she's just walked in. And he says, there's a law in this country. No one's head should be higher than the king's head. Yeah. And she's like, you want me to write on the floor?
No.
I'm just going to go back to sleep.
Yeah. He calls her a very difficult... I don't know why she decides to go with it, but he calls her a very difficult woman, and they have a bit of a back and forth. And eventually he kneels, sort of to like a halfway point so that she's not lying fully on the ground. So she kneels as well. And he starts to dictate his letter. And he's offering to send male elephants to America to let loose into the forest so they may breed and then be used as beasts of burden for the war. And Anna's like, male elephants only?
Male elephants?
And he's like, you see to the details, don't worry about it, good night.
It's at this point that they come to a bit of a truce where she's like, all right, I promise to make sure for your ego that my head is never higher than yours. If... I don't even remember what he promises.
No, he doesn't.
Exchange,
he doesn't promise anything at this point. She just kind of...
Or you know what it is? He asks her to promise. And she's like, all right, fine. Fuck it. I promise.
Yeah. So he leaves.
Yeah. No, well, there's a little bit of a bit where he sits and she sits. And then he keeps getting lower to the ground. So she has to get lower to the ground.
Yeah. Ends up like until fully finally, on the ground. In her big old hoop skirt. Poor girl.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Cut to the end of the scene. She has left the throne room and she's walking back to her
being
room.
Woken up for something so stupid. Elephants and Moses.
And she comes upon in this interior courtyard. She comes upon Lun Ta, the Burmese emissary.
A man in the bushes.
And he's like, "Please don't tell anyone you saw me. I'm waiting for Tup Tim to meet me here. Can you help us?" Yeah. And she goes, "No, that's a terrible idea. I will get in trouble. You will get in even more trouble." Yeah.
Like, I might get in trouble, but you will be murdered.
You will be put to death if you are found here. It will be considered a great dishonor to the king because Tup Tim belongs to the king now. She says, I'm so sorry, I can't help you. And she starts to walk away.
When he says, death is not worse than an empty life. And that's when the melody of Hello Young Lovers.
Hello Lovers Complete plays. And Anna's like, oh, okay, I got an idea. Stay here. And then we cut to her watching from her window, and we see Tup Tim come out. So she must have gone to get her, Tup Tim and been like, psst, hey, your boyfriend's in the garden. And she kind of watches over their reunion.
Yeah. And then she closes the door and goes back to her room.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't see anything.
I don't know what you're talking about. So now Tup Tim and Lun Tao are walking together in the garden. They have a big kiss.
It's dark. They're like sticking to the
shadows.
shadows. In the shadows. Sneaking around.
And then it moves into the dual song, We Kiss in a Shadow and I Have Dreamed.
Oh, neither of these people sang the song that they're about to sing. But essentially, it's Lun Ta saying, I wish we didn't have to keep hiding our love.
He wishes that their love could be shouted from the rooftops.
Yeah.
He could tell everyone that this is my love.
The two of them make a plan to run away together, and he will leave her a sign when it is time. So, like, look for my signal kind of a situation.
Yeah, exactly. Cut to the king in his study.
The next day,
the Kralahome enters, and he says, we've gotten news from Singapore that the English think that the king is a barbarian king and that they should take control of Siam to bring it into the modern world.
The British have been spreading pamphlets, essentially decreeing that the king of Siam is a barbarian, and the king is very, very upset because if one country gets this in their head, like, what's to stop other countries from invading?
It very dangerous.
Yes.
And he starts trying to think about what he wants to do about this. And then we hear the kids singing.
The kids are singing because it's school time. It's daytime. Yeah. And the king's study is close to the classroom, so he can't focus because the kids are singing. And he is upset by this other thing. So he storms into the classroom. And then my notes stop there for that point, so you're going to have to take that over.
Cool.
Not for, like, the rest of the film, but, like, the rest of the scene.
The rest of the movie.
I just herbed the rest of it.
So he yells at Anna because the song that they're singing has to do about having a home. And so he yells at Anna to stop teaching his kids songs about homes to remind him of a promise that he never made. And she was like, well, I remember this promise. And he was like, yeah, I will do the remembering around here. I am the king, not you. You are my servant. And Anna is not okay with that. She says, cool with that. No, I am not your servant. I am your employee. There is a difference. And if you don't give me the house that you promised, I will go back to England on the next available boat.
Yes, I will go back to England where promises actually mean something.
Yes, I don't want to stay in a country where promises have no meaning. And the kids and the wives hear this, and they are devastated, and they are begging her to stay. They're begging the king to force her to stay. The king won't budge, and Anna won't budge. So she ends up grabbing her son Louis and running out. And
she storms away in tears.
She storms away in tears, and the king yells for everyone else to leave too, because he's so mad.
He's angry about the British spreading rumors,
taking out
and
his
he's
anger
taking his anger
on her.
out.
It's not really about her.
Cut to later that night, Lady Tiang comes to visit Anna in her apartment, and she says, listen, I need you to go visit the king. And she gives her a little more context. She tells her about the letters that were found that are encouraging the British to think about Siam, the king of Siam being a barbarian, and then maybe
like to take it over as a protectorate.
Yeah. And she says, listen, he's going to listen to you because he views you as a scientific person. He doesn't view you as an equal, but he'll take your advice more than he'll take my advice. I need you to go to him.
It can't sound like advice.
Yeah, I need you to go to him and give him advice without making it seem like advice. Yes. And Anna's like, why can't you go? And she's like, I'm not his equal in these matters. Yeah. And Anna's like, no, this is stupid. And Lady Tiang then sings the song Something Wonderful to convince Anna, which is essentially a song of like, listen, he frustrates the hell out of me. I get it. But there are some very, very redeemable aspects of him that
he has flaws.
Yeah. That make it worth the while. Yeah,
he's worth helping.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's a beautiful song.
This song.
Yeah. So it ends and Anna is convinced. She decides to go and help. So we cut to the throne room and the king thinks that she is there to apologize.
He's like, good, you're here to apologize. Great, apology accepted. And she's like,
I wasn't, that wasn't, fuck it, whatever, sure. So he says that he's very occupied, and she's like, well, is there anything you want to discuss with me? And he almost starts to speak, and he's like, why would I discuss this with a woman? She's like, well, fuck you very much, and then is about to leave, and then is like, oh, right, she said that, all right, fine.
I have to bamboozle this king.
And he turns around and is just like, is there any news from Singapore? Like,
yeah. And he's like, it's funny that you mentioned that.
Funny, I have so much to talk about.
Yes, and she tells her, and she goes, and she asks, well, what do you think you're gonna do about these rumors?
He's like, guess.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna do something. Guess what it is. Provide, it's essentially guess what in a guess who game.
Yeah,
and she gives advice that he takes. He guessing. She gives good advice and he takes the advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, she's like, I guess what you might do is try and get the truth about yourself to England to counteract the lies that they're telling. And he's like, yes. Now guess how I do that.
Yeah. And it's through this conversation that she actually learns a delegation from England is actually already on their way to Siam. Based partially on these rumors. So the ambassador to Siam is coming, and he's bringing along Sir Edward, I forget his last name, who's just like a person of importance in the British government, and who happens to be a former lover of
ex-boyfriend.
Anna's.
Yeah.
Yes. And the king's like, great, so this delegation's coming, and I'm going to fight them to prove that Siam is a great country. And she's like, whoa,
and
whoa,
Anna's
whoa,
like,
what
whoa.
What if
I guess that you do something else?
Yes. Maybe instead you host a banquet to dazzle them. And he's like, oh, that's it. I thought of that idea. That's
so
great.
smart.
I'm so smart. She's like, and Tup Tim has even written a play, so we can provide them with it's dinner and a show.
And the king is like, okay, plan made. You need to figure out who in my household will most convince the English that I am not a barbarian. We'll teach everyone
civilized.
English customs and dress, and we'll make an English dinner. And I was like, that sounds awful. Anyway, and Anna's like, well, don't you want people to be presented as they are, like as they normally live their lives in their dress of your culture? And he's like, no. The English know that we're Siamese. They need to know that we're also European.
Yeah.
So
they start to top it all off.
Yeah.
Anna's like, this is a great plan. We'll get started right away, thinking that she has like a lot of time.
Yeah.
They land in a week. She has a week to pull this off. And she's like, okay.
Oh, no. Though I will say, my big giggle was whenever he was like, and we will have golden chopsticks. Yes. And Anna's like, ooh, maybe knives and forks instead. He was like, yes. English are not scientific enough for chopsticks.
Yes. So before Anna can even it's like late at night, and before Anna can even get started on the preparations, he goes, first, we're going to go wake everybody up, tell them our great plan, and we're going to pray to Buddha for his blessing in this endeavor. So the king and all the wives and the Kralahome and all the attendants go in front of the big Buddha statue. Anna kneels as well, and the king recites his prayer to the Buddha statue, to Buddha, saying like, we ask for your blessing to make and this this scientific endeavor for the English. And at the end of his prayer, the king says, and I promise, in front of this Buddha statue, I promise that at the end of this, I will give this very, very frustrating English woman who's helping me a house, house of her own.
And then they have another little bit of like her head not being taller than the king's, where they end up flat on the floor. It's a whole deal. Yeah. End of Act 1.
And that's the end of Act 1.
Yeah.
All right.
Woo!
Act 2. It is the day of the show, y'all.
Yeah.
It is Delegation Day. We see all kinds of foreign ambassadors and British ambassadors arriving in rickshaws up to the palace, human-pulled rickshaws, including one where we see Lun Ta disguised as one of the drivers.
Yes. We cut into the palace. All of the wives are in large English dresses with hoop skirts. And
big Scarlett O'Hara vibes.
Big
Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind, just what I just said. Gone with the Wind vibes.
Anna comes in and they all talk to her about how nervous they are, and they're like,
they're
what
scared.
If the Englishmen
they're scared of the
curse
English.
us? And I'm like, that's fair. Anna's like, no, that'll be okay. And
they're human, just like us.
It's gonna be fine. In walks the king, and all the wives drop to a bow on the ground, but in the hoop skirts, that means that everything goes alley-oop in the back. And
Anna
surprise,
is
surprise.
at the back. None of them are wearing underwear.
Anna forgot.
But it's too late. Like, there's no way they're going to get,
anything.
like, 30 pairs of bloomers. The king comes in, the wives bow, the scene that we just described happens, and then
Anna takes off her overcoat over her dress and reveals her gorgeous copper-tone dress.
and her bare shoulders. Gasp.
He's never seen her collarbones before. The king is taken aback.
English women have collarbones?
I thought that was just a rumor.
Since when? And he compliments her in his own fussy way.
Just then, music starts telling them that the ambassador has arrived. So the kings run off, and Anna turns to the wives and is like, keep your backs to the wall.
Yeah.
The king greets the ambassador and his aide with handshakes and cigars to prove how modern he is.
The aide is Sir Edward Ramsay.
Yes, Sir Edward.
Is the knight. Anna is also introduced.
Yeah.
She greets the ambassador. She says, it's good to see you again, Edward. And then the men are brought in to meet the royal wives.
Yes.
The wives get one look at the ambassador, who is an older white British man who has a monocle and a big pointed beard. And they're like, he looks like a goat and he has the evil eye. And they freak out, lift up their skirts, flashing the ambassador
to
and Sir
hide
Edward
their
Ramsay,
face from it
to
so
hide
that
their
he doesn't
faces
curse
so they're not
them.
cursed. And then they run out of the room.
And the look on the ambassador's face is definitely a giggle of mine. He just looks like,
God.
oh my lord.
And the king is mortified. He's like,
and
oh
so
my
is
God,
Anna.
I've been, yeah, they're both mortified. They're like, we have, this is
So
a horrible
sorry.
start to the night. And the ambassadors are like, they have a good sense of humor about it. They're like, listen, I've had many, many official greetings. That was definitely unique and one for the books.
Yep. And they end up talking about how many kids he has with all of the wives, and he's like, 106, but I am only a very young king, and I'm expecting 5 more next month. And the ambassador is like, oh my God.
And
they
the king
walk off.
leads the ambassador away. So Anna and Edward are left in this receiving room together.
Yeah.
And they start to have a conversation.
And he's like, oh, I was kind of hoping that I would find you homesick and, missing England. And she's like, why? There's no one for me in England. And I'm like, oh, damn. Yeah.
And they reminisce about old times, and they dance. They like slow dance together. And Edward's thirsty.
Oh, yeah. He's like, remember when I asked you to marry me?
And she's like, yes, my late husband and I laughed about it all the
Often.
time.
She's so not into him. It's really funny.
I know, but she's
so
not
distracted.
she's not overly mean to him.
No, because I think she still likes him, but
She likes him as a
not
friend.
like that.
She likes him as a friend, Edward.
But the
And-
king comes in.
Wait, no, hang on.
Oh.
One really thing. And Edward suggests, he's like, well, you maybe should consider remarrying and not burying your heart away. And she's like, listen, I have a life full of love for service, for these children, for my work. And he was like, maybe there could be love in your heart for me. And at that point,
you could help
comes
me.
in. Yeah, I'm like, she's fine without you, Edward.
Calm down, Edward.
So thirsty.
So the king comes in and sees them dancing, and he's like, no, the dancing is for after dinner. So they're like, oh, everyone's waiting for you guys for dinner. So Edward offers his arm to Anna, and the king then immediately also offers his arm to Anna. And Anna chooses the king's arm, and the king escorts her into the dining room. But before they go into the dining room, the king gives Anna a list of talking points to bring up so that he can sound smart at dinner. And he's like, starting with Moses, I know a lot about him.
So they go into the formal dining room. The king, after being reminded by Anna, bows and goes to his seat and then tells everyone to sit down. The banquet begins and everyone...
The music is so dramatic here.
It's so dramatic. I'd forgotten about this scene.
Yeah.
Everyone immediately looks to the king for conversation.
Yeah.
And Anna helps him out. She kind of reminds him, like, use the spoon. And then she gets the conversation started. She's like, the king said something very interesting about Moses the other day.
While he was reading the Bible. And so the king goes into it. And while that's happening, we cut to a wrestling match, I guess, outside.
So, okay, what it is that, like, all the rickshaw drivers are waiting for this banquet dinner to be over, and they're just killing time. They're like, we're gonna wrestle and,
Let's
like,
fight.
make some, like, there's 2 drivers in the middle wrestling, and the others are, like, cheering them on and have clearly placed bets. And Lun Ta uses this distraction to
Kinda, like,
pull his
sneaks
costume change
like,
out of his rickshaw.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
And he sneaks off.
Yeah. Just then, we cut back to the dinner. The ambassador raises a toast to the king. He says the government of Queen Victoria holds him in high esteem, and he looks forward to telling the queen about his time here.
As well as implying that the Kingdom of England is going to tell everyone how civilized and, like, what a wonderful welcome they received in Siam.
And then the king does a toast to the queen, too, that he thinks of her with great affection.
It's a good toast.
It's a good toast. And then he says, for everyone, for enjoyment after dinner, we have prepared a play, the Siamese version of a famous American book.
The Small House of Uncle Thomas.
Yes.
How are we going to talk about this? Because this is a entirely visual dance piece.
Yes.
With a narration.
Yes. So this is a retelling of Uncle Tom's Cabin, but the production of it is done in the style of sort of classic Siamese,
traditional Siamese dancing. And performative
theater. So it's all very visual. Everyone has masks.
And there is a narration throughout. So the dancers are not speaking the lyrics. Tup Tim is acting as a narrator, and there is a chorus behind her.
Yes. And they go through the entire plot of Uncle Tom's Cabin.
We meet the cast of characters. We meet the main character, who's named Eliza, who's a poor, unfortunate, unhappy slave who has a master, an evil master named Simon Legree of Legree.
And this is obviously very personal to Tup Tim. There is one moment where Tup Tim actually breaks out of the narrator role and starts to plead her case to the king, but the king sort of snaps her back into position, and she steps back and resumes the narration of this play that she has written.
There's a point where the villain has died, and a character in the book says, I'm a wicked critter because I am happy that the bad guy has died, and Tup Sim says, I do not think this character is a wicked person because I, too, am glad for the death of a king who would hold slaves and pursues runaway slaves. She looks directly at the king and she starts to beg for her freedom, and he snaps at her, kind of like a, not now, not in front of the delegation, how dare you. And she resumes the play. The play ends.
Everyone really loved
is so impressed. They are on their feet. They are clapping. Everyone looks so pleased except the king. And Anna knows what's going on, but is like clapping and playing along.
Absolutely. Everyone comes out and takes their bows, and then they're like, author. They want the author to take a bow. And everyone turns, but Tup Tim is gone.
She is gone.
She has used this distraction to escape.
We see Lun Ta sneaking Tup Tim out of the palace in a rickshaw, pretending that she is a
guest who got a headache or something.
Yeah. Cut to later that evening. The king is alone in that formal dining room. Anna comes in. She's like, I'm going to bed soon. Is there anything else that you need? And she compliments him. She's like, I thought you did a great job with the guests. Apparently, Edward said that the ambassador was very impressed. And I'm you should be pleased. I am so pleased.
Yes. And the king tells her, I'm very grateful for all of the help that you have provided. And he takes off his ring off of his finger and offers it to her as a gift.
Gives it to her.
And she's like, well, I don't know what to say. And he was like, then this is a time for silence. Yeah. And she panics a bit at this kind of intense, intimate moment that's building. And she goes to leave. And the king stops her and is like, I've heard of all of these good omens. Everything is going well with us, isn't it? And she agrees. Everything is going well with us. But then
he ruins it.
He ruins
the moment by saying, except for the play was bad because it showed a king, because the whole point is that like the villain was called a king, even though in the book he's not a king.
He's not,
and it shows the king in a bad light, so the play is bad. Yeah. And it was Tup Tim's play, and Tup Tim is Anna's pupil, so it reflects poorly on Anna. Yes. And the king says it's immoral. And it turns out, he reveals that Tup Tim has not been found yet. And the king's like, I bet she's hiding because she knows I'm mad.
Yes. And Anna starts to look nervous, and the king sees that, and she's like, listen, Tuptim is very unhappy because to you, she's just another woman. Like, just like every other woman, just like a bowl of rice is the same as another bowl of rice. And she's unhappy to be that and to be here.
Yeah, she wants to be somebody's someone.
Yeah.
And not one of a plethora of royal wives.
Yeah.
And this is balderdash to the king. King says, like, listen, that's not what I believe. I believe that men are entitled to as many wives, whereas women must be faithful to a single man. Yeah. That's how the world is designed. And he has this little song about, like, the bee and the flower. And a woman is designed for pleasing a man. And Anna's like, listen, that is not what they believe in England. Civilized England, they believe in monogamy. And he's like, that's ridiculous. And she starts to describe, like, it can be quite magical, like, meeting that person for the first time who is going to be your one person. And she describes, like, being a young girl, excited for your first dance. And the king interrupts her, being like, young women don't dance in Siam. And she's like, well, let me finish my memory.
Yes. I have things.
I have a thing to say. And Anna starts to sing the song,
Shall We Dance?
Which starts as a solo memory, reminiscing the glory of a first dance with a new person, the butterflies. And she dances solo around the room, kind of caught up in the moment. And she catches herself. She's like, oh my God, that's like, so embarrassing.
In raptures with her. Like, he can't stop staring at her dancing to herself. She stops and she's like, this is very, very embarrassing. Oops.
Yeah, I can't believe I just did that.
And he was like, well, no, you should teach me to dance. And so she starts to teach him the polka with the classic 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3.
Ah, yes. You know that super romantic dance, the polka.
Oh, yes, the polka. They start to dance, and he messes up a few times, but they keep trying, and they eventually get it, and they're holding their two hands in front of them like this, so that there's, like this. You cannot see. This is an auditory medium. So they're holding their two hands in front of each other, and they start to dance, and then he stops them. He's like, this is wrong.
Wait, you're not teaching me right.
She's like, no, this is right. This is exactly how they're doing it. He was like, no. They had your hand around the waist, and he, like, pulls her to him with his hand on her waist.
Yeah, he's like, this is not how you were dancing.
Overwhelmed.
This is not how you were dancing earlier, how I saw the Europeans dancing. Mm-hmm. And so he puts he very, very slowly, like eye contact, like consenting-wise, puts his hand on her waist, and then he lifts his other hand, and she takes it, and then he says, come. And they swing
around.
This is not a polka. This is like a full-on...
This is just...
I mean, I guess it's a polka with and
yeah. Oh, God, it's so gorgeous. And, like, her dress is swinging.
It's so classic.
And
dress.
And it has the same feeling that you have... and this is so stupid. It has the same feeling that I always have whenever I watch Beauty and the Beast and their dance as they swing around the ballroom. It's that same just, like, big majesty, and they have such a large set that they can take up so much space. And it ends, he spins her away from him, and she is, like, out of breath, overwhelmed.
Yeah, she's out of breath. She, like, almost crashes into a column. She catches herself, and she looks back at him. And this is where I wrote, the sexual tension of this prolonged eye contact. Oh, my Lord.
The eye fucking. There's so much. Oh, God.
I think I was probably too young the last time I saw this to pick up on that.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot. Both of them sort of, like, not back off of the moment, but sort of prolong it by saying, let's dance again.
Yeah.
And so they go back to dance again and are interrupted.
They are interrupted by a gong. Bong, bong goes the gong. The Kralahome enters, not even waiting to be called in. And the king's like, what? Like, that's not appropriate.
How dare you?
He's like, listen, I have news. We have found Tuptim. She's being interrogated by the secret police as we speak. Yes. We have not found her lover yet. And the news that there's a lover involved is
shocking to the king.
Yes.
Yeah. So Anna is just like, oh no. And just then... You okay?
No, I'm saying that's what Anna's like.
Yeah. Fuck. And just then Tuptim is brought in, and the king prepares to have her whipped in punishment for having a lover, for running away, for the embarrassment that she caused him in front of the guests, for disobeying, for all of it. And Anna stops him. She runs, like, in a very Pocahontas John Smith moment. She runs and, like, throws her body over Tuptim and is like, you have to understand, this isn't about you. This is about a woman who doesn't want to be here. You have to understand this.
And if you proceed with beating this woman with this punishment, you're going to undo all of the progress that you have made.
Done.
And she says, listen, Tuptim has hurt your vanity, not your heart. This is not personal to you. Yes. And the king's like, get out of the way. Yeah. I am king. If I want to do this, I should get to do this because that is the way the world works.
There is nothing worse than a weak king. And if I do not punish her, then I am a weak king.
And Anna says, all right, if you're going to do this, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to watch you do this.
Yes, and you will have to do this in front of me.
She calls him heartless, and she calls him, you are a barbarian that everyone thinks you are.
And he's like, then I will whip her myself. Like, and he grabs the whip and he's about to go for it. But then he meets Anna's eyes and he can't do it. And he throws the whip away and then just kind of crumples.
Collapses.
And, like, puts his hand over his heart and runs out of the room.
Yeah. And everyone's kind of unsure what to do. But at that point, because the Kralahome's still in the room. And so if the king's gone, Kralahome's point of command.
In charge, yeah.
And just then a messenger arrives and says, we found the lover. He was found dead in the river.
Yes.
Tuptim hears this, is distraught, and is led away. So
tears.
It's just Anna and the Kralahome in this room, and he turns to her and he says, you have destroyed the king. For what I just saw, he will never be the king that we knew and that we need. Anna is also extremely upset by the scene that she has just witnessed. She says, I'm going to leave. I'm going to get on the next boat out
Doesn't
of
matter
here.
Where
She
it's
returns.
Going.
She returns the ring that the king gave her to the Kralahome, and he says, I wish you had never come to Siam. And she says, I agree.
Me too.
And runs off in tears.
Yes. Cut to Anna's apartment. Everything is being packed up and is being taken off to the docks, to the boat. Louis is there, and he tells her we have to go if we're going to make the boat. Just then, Lady Tiang comes in, and she tells Anna that the king is dying. Because it's been a couple of weeks.
And Anna's like, since when?
She says she doesn't know why. A sad heart that does not wish to continue. He's not eating. He's not taking care of himself. He's listless. He
hasn't been well since the last
scene. And she wants Anna to come and see him before he dies.
And the Crown Prince is also with Lady Tiang, and he admits to Anna, he's like, I'm really, really scared for my father. I don't want my father to die. And also, if my father dies, that means I'm king, and I'm not ready to be king.
No. Just then, Lady Tiang is like, last night he wrote you a letter and he ordered me to give this to you. And the Crown Prince asks her to read it out loud because he wants to know what his father said. And the letter just sort of talks about the gratitude and respect that the king has for her despite their differences, despite the fact that she's a very difficult woman.
Which is a throwback to an earlier scene where he says to her face, you are a very difficult woman.
And Anna almost can't even finish the letter. She starts crying.
Yeah, she bursts into tears.
Yeah.
And it's this isn't funny, but she bursts into tears when she reads aloud that the king calls her a difficult woman, which is kind of puzzling to Lady Tiang and the Crown Prince, but because it's an inside joke from a previous interaction, it just breaks her heart. Yeah. At that moment, Lady Tiang and the Crown Prince have to go back.
They're like, please,
and Anna makes the decision to go visit the king on his deathbed. So we cut to Anna and Louis going.
There was one moment before she leaves where Louis like, oh, are you friends with the king again? And she says yes. And he asks, was he as good a king as he could have been? And she's like, I don't know if any king is as good a king as he could have been, but he tried, and he tried really hard.
And that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Cut to the king's study, which is where the king has chosen to have his deathbed. And Anna's like, why aren't you here? Well, you should be in your bedroom, like surrounded by like in a comfortable bed. And he goes, no, I want to die surrounded by this knowledge. I want to die as scientific and modern as I can.
Absolutely.
And he says, I hear that you're leaving. And she goes, yes, I'm leaving very soon. I actually can't stay very long. And he asks if she is glad to leave.
Yeah, and he's like, this makes the children and the wives very sad that you're leaving, and them only, and definitely not me, sad that you're leaving.
Yes.
And
he gives her back the ring, and he asks her to wear it.
Yeah, and she does. She puts it on, and all of his children are brought in to see him, and they all beg Anna not to go. One of them has like a memorized message
little
for her.
Speech.
little speech about how much they've learned from her and how much they still have to learn from her and how much they don't want her to go. It's all very cute.
And then we hear the boat horns off in the distance.
And then the music theme of Getting to Know You starts to play in the background, and she has to make a decision, and she decides to stay.
She turns to Louis and she goes, run down to the pier, tell the captain to take our things off the ship and bring them back to the palace. And the children at this point cheer, and the king scolds them for their behavior. Yeah. And while they wait for Louis, the king has the crown prince stand up, who has been kneeling next to him, and he gives Anna like a notepad to take notes for the next king. And the king kind of addresses, he's like, listen, I'm king now, you're gonna be king.
Yeah, he passes his title.
And he kind of plays pretend with the crown prince. He goes like, well, if you were king right now, what would you do first? And the crown prince thinks about it. And he says, I would start with a proclamation with, like, it's a good reminder that, like, he's still a kid.
So
he's like, it's the New Year's soon. Like, and so I want fireworks and riverboat races. And the king's
they're like, why boat races? He's like, I like boat racing.
I like boat racing.
I would like boat racing.
But his second proclamation is a little more serious, and he walks around and he kind of thinks about it, and he says, essentially, I want to get rid of this rule that everyone has to bow on the ground to the king. And then he turns to his father, he goes, is that okay? And the king kind of says, listen, when you're king, you don't get to ask if it's okay. Approval. You have to go in confident. Yeah. So the king leans back and listens as his son works through this thought process of his proclamation. He goes, I want to get rid of this because it's embarrassing, but I don't want to get rid of the respect that should be required and earned by the king. So
this is how I want this to be now instead. And shoulders back, eyes contact. This is how you show respect. And this is how we move into the next century without groveling. And as this conversation is happening, the king passes away, and the only people that notice are the Kralahome and Anna. And the Kralahome bows, and Anna comes and takes his hand and presses it to her cheek.
And the musical theme of Something Wonderful plays as the film ends. And that's The King and I.
That's the end.
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
I know. Wow. What a movie. Hannah.
Yes.
After not having watched this for like a decade, and with the lens of an adult in this century, what did you think of this movie?
I will always have a soft spot in my heart for this production. I definitely felt it was dated. Like, the plot in itself is gonna be what it is.
Yeah.
And because it's a period piece from 1956, it's gonna be
even earlier, like
flawed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was considered a period piece in 56.
Yes, exactly.
It's going to be flawed, and there's going to be outdated things. But I think at the heart of it is that very special connection you find when you match someone on an intellectual level.
Yeah.
That you didn't expect, and the very, very special friendship and romance that can come out of that.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
smack that with some Rodgers and Hammerstein songs, and like, we had a show!
We got a show! I had forgotten how big the music was, and that kind of sweeps you away. It is a large show. It's kind of funny going from such a small show with, last 5 years, going to, one of visually large, cast-wise large, emotionally large, just like, it's just a wide show. It's a spectacle, honestly.
It's a spectacle, and we're not ignoring the whole white savior aspect.
Oh, it's super white saviory.
British imperialism.
Yeah. And the fact that not a single named character except for Anna, was played by someone of that race.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in casting.
Yeah.
It is time for... I'm going to use my slightly lower range today because I'm ill. We're going to just take it down a notch.
Take it down a notch.
Dramaturgy report.
No.
This was directed by Walter Lang, who is an American director with a 4-decade career who we've met before.
Yeah.
We met him on State Fair.
Nice.
And There's No Business Like Show Business.
Nice.
So we know a lot about it, but He was an American director. He started in the film industry as a clerk for a production company. What I didn't remember is that he was also an aspiring artist. And at one point, after being in the film industry for a while, he was like, I'm going to go to Paris and be an artist. And that was not successful.
Oh,
so
no.
he returned to Hollywood a few years later. That was in his late 20s. In his mid-30s, he started working at 20th Century Fox, and that's where he found his, like, niche. And he worked on a lot of glossy, splashy Technicolor musicals, like, as I mentioned, No Business Like Show Business in '54, State Fair, something called Can Can, starring Frank Sinatra.
Great. We'll put it on the list.
For this film, he was nominated for an Academy Award, directing for this film. Like, the cinematographer was Leon Shamroy, who we have, I could have sworn we've met him before, but we will see him again in South Pacific.
Oh.
But he was known for his work with 20th Century Fox in Technicolor motion pictures.
Nice.
And that's all I got, because I know you have a lot of dramaturgy.
I have so much dramaturgy, y'all. I'm going to cut through this. So, music and lyrics and book for the original stage musical was by the team Rodgers and Hammerstein, which is Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein II. I'm just going to breeze through them slightly just because I'm really going to be focusing a little bit more on Yul Brenner this time around. They were a duo who created a series of innovative and influential musicals. Their popular Broadway productions are considered to be the golden age of musical theater. For example, Oklahoma, Carousel, South Pacific, King and I, Sound of Music, and Cinderella. Their writing partnership has been called the greatest of the 20th century, which, like, yeah. Now, this musical is a really fictionalized version of experiences by a real person whose name was Anna Leonowens, who greatly exaggerated and, in many cases, completely fabricated her accounts of being in Siam and teaching the children of the King of Siam. To the point where 30 years after the events, the subsequent King of Siam, so who's the eldest son, so the Crown Prince, who's the character, he visited London and, like, expressed his fondness for her and his graciousness to her for everything that they learned from her, and also his disappointment at her fabrications and exaggerations. One main example of that is the romance between Tup Tim and Lun Ta, which turned out to be completely fictional, that she just added that to make
she was like, I need a B plot.
to make her memoirs spicy. I don't know. So this was based off of a memoir, which then established a book, which then established a movie, Anna and the King of Siam, which then established this musical, The King and I. So honestly, it's just like a downward spiral of misinformation. And so it ended up being it's like based on a true rumor kind of thing.
On a lie on a lie.
Exactly, yeah. So this musical premiered on March 29th, 1951, and it ran for nearly 3 years, making it the fourth longest Broadway musical in history at the time. Whenever they were looking for the leading lady, they ended up choosing Gertrude Lawrence, and initially they wanted Rex Harrison to play the king. Can you imagine?
Oh my god.
Well, because he played
Professor
the king.
Higgins!
I know, he played the king in the 1946 film Anna and the King of Siam. So they were like, oh, he's a Broadway person, he can do it too. But Rex Harrison wasn't available, so they ended up settling on Yul Brenner. Now, this musical was an immediate hit. It won Tony Awards, Best Actress, and Best Featured Actor. Unfortunately, Gertrude Lawrence ended up dying unexpectedly of cancer about a year and a half after opening, and so the role of Anna was sort of cycled through a bunch of people, but Yul Brenner was always the king. So this screenplay was written by Ernest Paul Lehman. So he was an American screenwriter. He was nominated 6 times for an Academy Award, but never won. And at the 73rd Academy Awards, he received an honorary Academy Award in recognition of his achievements and his influential work for the screens. And he was the first screenwriter to receive that honor. His most popular stuff, obviously, King and I. He wrote West Side Story, Sound of Music, and Hello, Dolly. And he also had a collaboration with Alfred Hitchcock, and so he wrote North by Northwest. So he did a lot of very famous things. In terms of the script, at first they were going to change how the king died because one of the good omens that he talks about with Anna is that they found a white elephant. And so some producers wanted to change it so that he was gored by this white elephant. And Yul Brenner was like, fuck no. And so they stuck to the stage version.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. In terms of actors and casting, I am going to... Originally, Yul Brenner only wanted to direct this, and he was like, you know who should be the king? Marlon Brando.
Oh my god.
Wild. Now, originally, they wanted Maureen O'Hara as Anna because she was, like, really warm on stage and on film. She was really fiery. She also was a natural redhead and was a soprano, so they wouldn't have to get a dubber and they wouldn't have to get wigs. And after hearing her recordings, Richard Rodgers was like, yes, she could sing the part, but he vetoed it because of her previous roles, and he reportedly remarked, no pirate queen is going to play my Anna. So she was passed over. Yeah.
That's shitty.
It is shitty because I think she would have been great. No shade to Deborah Kerr. She was also fantastic, but like having someone who can actually sing the part would have been really nice because Deborah Kerr was not a singer.
I'm going to let you know right now, Deborah Kerr actually went by Deborah Carr.
Oh,
it's Carr.
Damn
It
it.
makes no sense.
I thought it was Kerr.
It's spelled like it. I've known that my
Oh.
whole life just because I've grown up listening to this, but I just realized I was like, oh no, Grace doesn't know.
I didn't know.
Deborah Carr.
Well, now I know. Deborah Kerr.
And I just verified it just to make sure I wasn't wrong.
Yes, correct. That's fair. That's fair. So, Yul Brenner, he was a Russian-born actor, singer, model, photographer, director, producer, everything. Best known for his portrayal of the King in The King and I, for which he won 2 Tony Awards and an Academy Award. So he's best known for this role. He played this role 4,625 times on stage. In 1941, he made his stage debut in a Broadway production of Twelfth Night. He only had a few lines, and he had broken English, and he spoke with a very thick Russian accent. And the show soon closed, along with everything else, after the attack on Pearl Harbor. So he ended up finding a job as a radio commentator delivering war propaganda in Russian and in French on the Voice of America radio station. Once the war culminated, he went back to film work, and he made his film debut in Port of New York, which was released in November 1949. And the next year, at the urging of someone that he knew, he auditioned for Rodgers and Hammerstein's new musical in New York, and he was kind of hesitant to get into it at first because he had been finding success as a director for television, but once he read the script, he was so fascinated by this character that he really wanted to at least audition it, and he wanted to perform this project. So he got the role. It was his second major role, and it became his best known one. He was in the original production, the 1951, and then also later touring productions, and then he was in the 1977 revival, and then a London production in 1979, and then another Broadway revival in 1985. So he just kept playing this character forever. In addition to his work as a director and a performer, he was a photographer, he wrote a couple of books, he was also an accomplished guitarist, so he was sort of a man of all trades. And in September 1983, he started feeling a sore throat, and his voice changed, and they found a lump on his vocal cords. In Los Angeles, only hours before his 4,000th performance, he received test results indicating that he had inoperable lung cancer. In that era, they didn't know the risk factor for lung cancer from smoking. He had been smoking since he was 12, but had quit in 1979, but obviously the damage had been done.
The damage was done.
He was forced to take a few months off while he underwent radiation therapy, and then he went right back at it. And in January 1985, they reached New York for a farewell Broadway run. And aware that he was dying, he gave an interview on Good Morning America discussing the dangers of smoking and expressed desire to make an anti-smoking commercial.
That's probably when my mom saw it, when it was in New York in the 80s.
And his last performance, a few months before his death, marked his 4,625th time he played the role of the King. So he played this role until he died.
This
This was his role. This was him. And I mean, it's definitely a legend of theater.
So I'm going to talk about this later, but it was announced in 2021 that Paramount bought the rights for a new live film version of this.
Okay.
There's no director attached, no writer attached, but it just makes me think of all the controversy that's happening with Funny Girl right now, with Beanie and Leah Michele taking over, and how a lot of the reviews really unfairly kind of, when you have a show like King and I, like Funny Girl, that are so identified with one particular actor,
yes,
it's truly unfair to any actor that assumes that role later, because they will inevitably be compared to. So whoever is cast as the king in this film, if it does come to fruition, they're going to have some very big shoes to fill, and some people are never going to get over the fact that they're not Yul Brenner, that they're not Barbara Streisand. So, all right, as you were.
So that's what I have for actors and casting.
As we said before, this film came out in 1956. Asian American representation, or rather just Asian representation in Hollywood, in America, in American films, was truly null and void. Like, it's not great, y'all.
No. It's not great. Not a single named character is played by someone who is of the race that the character is, except for obviously Anna.
Yeah. And what drives me even further up the wall is that the guy who plays Kralahome was one of the people from the Broadway production. British man who has been tanned or is in brown face, yellow face. Yul Brenner is Russian.
Yes.
Like,
Rita Moreno is Puerto Rican. And Rita Moreno talked about this at one point, where she was just like, I was the go-to, quote-unquote, ethnic person in Hollywood for a very long time, and it didn't matter what that ethnicity was.
If it was an ethnicity that was not Caucasian, you were going to get cast in it, regardless of how authentic. The representation was not there.
Not at all.
We are addressing that, recognizing that.
Yes.
And understanding that, like, whatever affections we have for this film, it is not a perfect film. It is a deeply flawed film.
Yes.
Both plot-wise, production-wise.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the most recent Lincoln Center revival had fantastic representation.
That's my homework. My homework is the Tony Award performance. With the one that shows her quick change.
I have another homework that is also based on that production.
Okay.
That one had great representation. And if there is going to be a film, I can only hope and assume that there will be fantastic representation.
Yes.
But reviews and reception for the 1956 film. So this film premiered at New York's Roxy Theater on June 28th, 56. I don't know what to tell you. It was a big success upon release, both critically and financially. It was the 5th highest grossing film of that year. Some reviewers critiqued it for small changes of dialogue between the Broadway production and the film, as well as some of the songs were cut. The Broadway production's easily 3 hours,
3 hours.
And this film is 2:18, excuse me.
Yeah.
This film has been banned in Thailand
because
of its representation of the king, and this is the case with other adaptations of the Anna and the King material.
Yes, because it is so incorrect that Thailand was just like, said. No.
Yes, absolutely not. Okay, I literally took a screenshot of all the awards.
Amazing.
Because it was too much to type. So as I said, it was a big success, and as a result, it was nominated for, oh my god, all the things. Just understand, it was nominated for a bunch of Oscars, a bunch of Golden Globes, New York Film Critics' Choice. And yeah, it won a bunch of stuff. It was nominated for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And as I said before, Paramount has the rights as of 2021 with the plan to produce a new live-action version.
Curious to see if they'll update it.
Yeah. And for all we know, they have the rights and they'll sit on it for
forever.
Another 15, 20 years.
Totally possible. All right. Singing and dancing. For singing, as we mentioned earlier, Miss Marnie Nixon is back.
This is a Marnie Nixon fan account.
Yeah. So Marnie Nixon was the voice double for Deborah Kerr.
However, Deborah Kerr there are several moments of, like, speaking dialogue. And in the recording studio, Deborah Kerr did do a lot of that. And so the final result is a blend of Deborah Kerr's voice for more of those more conversational pieces. And then Marnie Nixon took over for all the
big sweeping
long
songs.
stuff.
Yeah. Though Marnie Nixon did say that she realized that the keys of Anna's songs were actually quite low for her, and she was 21 when she did this. She was too young to be able to sound like an adult womanly voice, so they placed a modifier on her microphone to make her voice sound deeper and more mature. And she was like, I tried to take out the sort of bright ring that I sort of naturally have to my voice, but they used this modifier to emphasize the lower parts of my voice. I also had a horrible cold at the time, and I wasn't able to breathe during the recording sessions, but that kind of helped match her voice and deepen my own.
That's so funny. And what's crazy is I associate, granted, this is the soundtrack I've listened to, but I saw Kelly O'Hara do this. And Kelly O'Hara is a bright soprano.
Pingy soprano,
obviously, she's a pingy soprano. She was in her 30s or 40s when she did this, which is appropriate for the role.
Yeah.
But I don't think of this being like a husky, like lower
Deep.
voice, like I am right now, because I'm sick. But it's interesting that Marnie Nixon felt that she had to tone down that brightness.
Yes.
Kelly O'Hara.
Kelly O'Hara. There were several numbers, like we mentioned, that were cut, that were recorded and allegedly shot, but not used. So that is My Lord and Master, which is sung by Tup Tim after she arrives at the palace. Shall I Tell You What I Think of You, which is Anna and expressing her anger. Great song. I Have Dreamed, which is a duet for Tup Tim and Lunta. But all of the deleted numbers can be heard on the Capitol Records soundtrack album.
That's what I say. I was like, I could have sworn I've heard the Shall I Tell You What I Think of You song.
Yes, because they recorded it all, but they ended up cutting it from the movie for time, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Dancing. I mean, it's the big ol' sweeping, like, and that's the one that sticks to your mind. And
Tom's Cabin
like
ballet.
Little House. Yeah.
So not ballet, but the Uncle Tom's Cabin dance.
Yes, which was very stylized and very interesting to watch, again, like as an adult. I really enjoyed it. And, of course, the big sweeping polka and the big old
dance. Other than
dance.
that, it's not a Dancing in the Streets musical.
No, it's not. Which is okay. Not all of them have to be.
Yeah. It's got one sweeping dance that they do really well, and they're like, that's enough.
That's good. Just quit while you're ahead. All right. Anna, what are your gripes?
My gripes is that I could not tell when time was passing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was never sure if it was the next day or if it was 5 weeks later.
5 months later, like scene to scene, I truly could not tell, and they did not help me other than maybe 5 minutes into a scene where they'll say, it's been weeks. And I'm like, okay, cool, it's not the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I get that.
That's my gripe.
Yeah, I'll choose on to that. I didn't have any large gripes, besides obviously the lack of representation. Giggles, I had many small one-off giggles.
Oh yeah, one-liner giggles.
Yeah. And then, of course, moment of joy is just that big polka and then the eye fucking.
It's gonna be the polka.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a big old moment of joy.
Oh.
Like, it was one of those where I just, like, put down everything and, like, just, like, sat and watched. And
I did for that, and I did that for Small House of Uncle Thomas as well. I was just like,
absolutely.
I'm just going to sit and
well, because it's not like we're going to go over the plot of Uncle Tom's Cabin. Like, that's not what this is about.
Yeah. It's the subtext.
Yes.
And that actually leads us really well into homework.
Yeah, well, and fun facts.
I forgot to write down fun facts. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I knew I was forgetting something.
I know. I have 2 fun facts. Both of them are Deborah Kerr and her outfits. So apparently in the Shall We Dance sequence, because they were going around the room so aggressively, and she was in that big fucking hoop skirt, she actually got continual bruising from the hoop skirt sort of around her hips because it just kept swaying back and forth and banging into her. And also each of those large outfits weighed like 30 to 40 pounds. Apparently she reportedly lost like 12 pounds over the course of filming because she was in these super heavy dresses and under very hot lights. And so she would refer to herself as the melting Miss Carr.
I can only imagine how heavy and how sweaty they were.
And disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah.
After a while, it's just... Ugh. All right. Homework. I have a clip from the 2015 revival from the Tony performance, which shows... It starts with Getting to Know You.
Yes. And then it goes into Something Wonderful.
Yes.
And we also get the fantastic moment of a quick change that doesn't exist in
the show. No. So this was something that they practiced and did exclusively for the Tonys, but you get to see the importance of dressers. And so
so you see Kelly O'Hara
you see her quick change, and then it comes out and they do Shall We Dance, and oh my god,
I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Ken Watanabe was like, he does the hand around. It's so funny because in the movie the hand around the waist is very slow, but with him it's like hand around the waist and he like jerks her into him, and I was just like, sir,
I clutched my pearls.
I did clutch my pearls.
That's also my homework, but it's I have to find it on YouTube if I can find it.
Yeah.
It's the same scene, but it's a Daniel Day Kim.
Oh, stop. Oh my god. Sorry, I have emotions about that man.
But it's the same moment where he puts his hand on her waist, he pulls her in, hand up for her to grab, and then says, come. Like, and then they dance around.
Sir, I might have. Like,
sir, it got warm in here. Gosh.
Absolutely. Anyway, I think that is all she wrote for this very long episode.
Oh boy, you thought after the last episode with last 5 years that you were off the hook and we were in a new trend of shorter episodes? Nay.
Surprise! That is not true.
All right. Well, if that is literally all she wrote. I have been Anna.
I'm still Grace.
And this has been 5678, a movie musical podcast. See you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
5678. There's no business like show business, like no business I know.